Let me introduce myself first. I'm Grace Santos. I'm the national expert for ASEBA in the Philippines. And on behalf of the ASEBA team under the EU Switch Asia program, I would like to welcome you to this webinar on designing for circularity. This webinar is co-hosted by ASEBA, also by the Cebu Chamber of Commerce and Industry, who is the ASEBA lead for the Philippines, and also the Global Compact Network Philippines. This webinar is also supported by the EU Switch Asia Policy Support Component. So for this year, ASEBA, CCCI, and GCNP are co-hosting this Circular Business webinar series to deepen understanding of the circular economy and facilitate circular business learning from design to implementation to assessment among Philippine businesses, including startups and micro, small, and medium enterprises. So this webinar is already the second session in the series. We had last month an introduction to circular business, and we're now diving into designing for circularity as a business innovation opportunity and strategy. So before we start, let me just share a couple of housekeeping guidelines for the webinar. All right, so this webinar will be running for an hour and 30 minutes. So for all the participants, may we ask you to keep your microphones on mute to avoid audio interference, specifically during the speakers' talks as well as presentations. A recording of this webinar will be made available on the Switch Asia YouTube channels, and the recording will also be shared to the participants after this webinar. We'll have Q&As with the audience. So if you have questions, you can put it in the chat or in the Q&A box here in the Zoom room. If you would like to speak, you can also raise your hand during the dedicated question and answer portion after the panel. For any longer comments or questions that you may have, you can email us at our official email, info@aseba.co. Just to give you an overview of the program, so the three partner organizations will be given their welcome remarks by the heads of each organization. Then we'll have the talk on circular design, on the principles, approaches, and business applications. Then to be followed by a panel on circular products and business models. We have three organizations with us during the panel. It will be moderated by one of our ASEBA co-conveners. Then, as mentioned, we'll have a Q&A with participants, and we'll be closing this session with a message from our team leader from the EU Switch Asia program. All right, so let's formally start our program. So to deliver an opening remarks from on behalf of ASEBA, we have Mr. Thomas Thomas. He is one of ASEBA's co-convener, also a senior expert under EU Switch Asia Policy Support Component, and chair of ARIBA SDN BHD. Thomas, the floor is yours.
Good morning and a warm welcome to everybody. And thank you very much for taking time to attend this webinar, which is part of our series of webinars and moving on to co-create more tools for circular economy. I want to acknowledge our partners, the Cebu Chamber of Commerce. Davin, thanks for stepping in the last moment to cover for President Reagan and also Ben from Global Compact Philippines. I also want to thank everybody in the panel, Rolin, Chuck, and Tanya, and my old friend Gil, and Rene, who are co-conveners of this. Most importantly, I also want to thank Switch Asia for their support to make this ASEBA reality, to mobilize circular economy within businesses in ASEAN. Next slide, please. I will start off by giving a little bit of background. The project for circular economy started way back in 2023 when ASEAN CSR network requested support from Switch Asia to mobilize, and we had support from ASEAN Business Advisory Council. Gil Gonzalez was the ED then, and also ASEAN. ASEBA was launched in July 2024, and Jakarta, and the photo there shows the EU ambassador to ASEAN, the myself, Rene, and the team leader for Switch Asia, Zinaida. We launched it, and we had support from the ASEAN Secretary, the ASEAN Deputy Secretary, Vinder Singh spoke, the ASEAN Coordinating Committee for Micro, Small, and Medium Sizes were supported, and together with ASEAN Business Advisory Council. Next slide, please. The ASEAN Circular Economy Business Alliance, ASEBA, is an ASEAN-centric business-led initiative to support the regional circular economy transition. In 2021, ASEAN actually contributed, came out with their circular economy framework, and national strategies are in every of the almost all the ASEAN countries. This year, the Philippines is also having it. So by participating in this, the participants who are actually businesses or organizations pledge to lead by example and adopt practices. And we in ASEBA, we provide them visibility, a voice. We also document and showcase good business practices, innovative solutions. We facilitate learning, sharing, more ASEBA companies and beyond, and also promote tools to make this a reality. Next slide, please. What ASEBA has is three components. First is the participants. The participants are those organizations that endorse and commit to ASEBA pledge, which is to adopt circular practices, report on their progress, on their initiatives, and participate and contribute. Then in each of our countries where we participate, we have country leads. In the Philippines is the Cebu Chamber of Commerce, that is the country lead for us. And Areba, the company that I lead, serves as the contact for the regional activities and support the country leads in promoting circular economy with guidance, materials, tools, and just facilitate the discussions. Next slide, please. Just a quick capture of what we did. We worked with the Cebu Chamber of Commerce. Early last year, we did a signing ceremony of our pledge. We did a series of webinars. We have actually done work with the Global Compact Network, and we also have launched a circular economy facilitation initiative in Manila a few months ago. And then we have also documents on opportunities in the Philippines. So Philippines, we have been quite active, and this is another example of pushing this agenda further. Next slide, please. Where are we at the moment? We have, as partners, we have East Asia Business Council and joint ASEAN Business Advisory Council as our partnership, together with Kadin, which is the Indonesian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Cebu Chamber, and the Thai Environment Institute. We also have other networks like the Global Compact Network in Indonesia, the Philippines, as well as the Thai Business Council for Sustainable Development. As I said earlier, most of our activities has been forums, webinars. We also have training sessions. We also have developed knowledge tools to guide business framework, where we did our first one in 2023, and we updated it last year, as well as a implementation guide on how, where we introduced our tool of framework for implementation, SADI, all things, and as well as we have business case studies. Click next, please. Okay, part of this whole thing means we take this whole evidence on where knowledge, etc., as well as look at international practices, best practices, good practices, and we have developed business tools, and more of it later. And just next slide, please. So I'll end with asking you to please join the alliance, and if you have good examples, contribute to our case studies, try out ASIBA tools, and join the mailing list and other inquiries. But I also want to highlight that we are working on two parts of it. On the left, you see we are working on a circular business check, and that's somewhere as a self-assessment tool for SMEs, and we are hoping to test it, get enough companies to volunteer so that we could test the circular business check as well as the circularity by design. This is a workshop that tries to move that forward. On that note, I just want to thank you and hope that we can bring this agenda forward to the next side. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you, Thomas. May we now call on the head of the Global Compact Network Philippines, Mr. Ben Secretario. He's the Interim Executive Director of GCNP, for his opening remarks. Ben, go ahead.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Grace. Thank you very much, Thomas, the co-convener of ASEBA, and also to Mr. Reagan Rex King, the president of Cebu Chamber of Commerce and Industry, who will be ably represented later on by Mr. Darwin Moises. And again, welcome to all of you attending this webinar on designing for circularity. I would like to introduce you to Global Compact Network Philippines. The Global Compact Network Philippines is a country network of the United Nations Global Compact. The Global Compact is the largest corporate sustainability initiative in the world, with over 25,000 companies across 170 countries. And locally, we are honored to say that GCNP unites businesses from conglomerates to SMEs alongside NGOs, associations, and civil society partners into one vision. And that is embedding global principles on human rights, labor, environment, and anti-corruption in the way we do local business. The world is demanding principled business leadership. Consumers are choosing differently this time. Investors are now looking at sustainability as a measure of long-term value and resilience. And the cost of how we use, design, and dispose of materials are no longer abstract. They show up in operations, supply chains, and in the communities where we do business. The evidence on what sustainability means for business performance is very clear. Products with sustainability attributes generate up to 25% more revenue than those without. Companies that embed sustainability into their operations are 1.4 times more likely to achieve innovative breakthroughs. And 80% of products' environmental impact is determined at the design stage. So the question is, what are we designing for? And this is exactly what we want to learn this morning's learning session. This is our moment to think differently. The 2030 agenda, or the 2030 deadline for the Sustainable Development Goals, is fast approaching. And we are cognizant that 66% of these SDG indicators are off track. The businesses that will define the next critical years are not the ones that optimize what already exists, but the ones that reimagine it. And I hope that you are those businesses. New business models, new ways of designing, new ways of thinking about what resource is, what waste means, and what value can be recovered. And we highlight circularity is one of the most powerful expressions of that kind of thinking. And today, you will hear from the practitioners who have gone through that journey. Dr. Renee Van Berkel will set the foundation for that. And then we will hear what it's like in practice from the Design Center of the Philippines and the Asia Textile Mills. And to add another perspective from the Global Compact Network Thailand, who will also share how its circular business models are shaping Thailand. The work ahead is simple. It's not simple rather, okay? But look through the list of attendees now and our panel today. This is a reminder that you are not alone. ASEBA, the Cebu Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and the Global Compact Network Philippines are here, and we are committed to walking this journey with you. So I invite you also to scan this QR code and be part of this network so that all together we will share this sustainability journey with you. The ideas shared today are yours to use, and we hope you do. And we are excited to see how this learning session will pan out in your respective operations. I'm wishing you an insightful learning session ahead. Again, thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Ben. And we are grateful to the support of the GCNP for ASEB activities. Thank you, Ben. So we are also joined by one of the vice presidents of the Cebu Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mr. Darwin John Moises. He will be delivering the opening remarks on behalf of the Chamber. Sir Darwin, go ahead.
Good day, everyone. So my respects to Thomas, co-convener of ASEBA and chair of ARAIBA, Dr. Rene Van Berkel, co-convener of ASEBA and senior expert, EU Switch Asia Policy Support Component, our distinguished guest speakers, and all participants joining us today from across the region. Fellow CCCI members, industry leaders, and stakeholders, good morning, and welcome to the second session of ASEBA PH Circular Business Webinar Series. In our first session, we established why the circular economy matters and why it is our strategic imperative for any enterprise that seeks to remain competitive, resilient, and responsible in a rapidly evolving global economy. Today, we go a level deeper because understanding why circularity matters is only the beginning. The more important and practical question is, where does it actually start? And as today's session will demonstrate, the answer begins with design. This is not a minor insight. Design is where the majority of a product's environmental impact is determined before a single unit is manufactured, before materials are extracted, and before a product even enters the life cycle. If we are serious about achieving circularity, we cannot limit ourselves to improving waste management at the end of the chain. We must fundamentally rethink the chain itself, starting at the very beginning, at the ideation and design. This means designing out waste and pollution from the outset. It means keeping products and materials in use for as long as possible. It means designing for disassembly so that what we create today can be remade tomorrow. It means adapting regenerative materials, closing material loops, and optimizing the resource efficiency at every stage. These are strategic business decisions that directly influence cost structures, supply chain resilience, customer value, and long-term competitiveness in ways the linear model can no longer sustain. For Cebu's enterprises, our MSMEs, startups, manufacturers, and processors, this conversation is both timely and essential. As our economy grows, so too does the pressure on our natural resources and environment. Circular design offers one of the most powerful pathways to ensure that growth remains sustainable, inclusive, and future-proof. This is why we are very intentional in drafting our leadership agenda. Lead a must have impact. Developing enterprises that are not only productive, but truly future ready, capable of creating long-term value for business, for communities, and for generations to come. At the core of this agenda is a must framework. A stands for Academic Industry Alliance, building stronger collaboration between education and enterprise to develop a workforce and innovation pipeline ready for emerging economic realities. M represents MICE and tourism, where sustainability is now central to destination competitiveness and responsible event ecosystem. U covers utilities and the basic enablers of business where efficiency, resilience, and responsible resource use are fundamental to sustainable operations. S stands for sustainability, where initiatives like ASEBA naturally align in advancing circular economy principles, responsible production, and regenerative business models. And T represents trade and logistics, where circular economic principles are embedded in supply chain design, cross-border flows, and value recovery systems that strengthen competitiveness and resilience. Together, these pillars demonstrate that circular economic thinking is not confined to one sector, but it is systemic, cutting across the entire business ecosystem. And in this context, CCCI positions itself not only as a convener, but as a regional enabler and accelerator, helping translate these principles into practical adoption across industries and enterprises of all sizes. In fact, as the regional lead for ASEBA in the Philippines, CCCI is committed to advancing this agenda by convening platforms such as this Circular Business Webinar Series. Through these sessions, we bring together regional thought leaders, technical experts, and industry practitioners to translate circular economic principles into actionable strategies for our local enterprises. This allows us to go beyond building awareness, that is to sustain a continuous learning and collaboration ecosystem that supports real business transformation. We extend our sincere appreciation once again to ASEBA and the EU Switch Asia Policy Support Component for curating the business cases and regional practices that will guide today's discussion. And to our guest speakers for sharing your pioneering work in circular design. To everyone joining us today, I encourage active engagement. Ask questions your businesses are truly grappling with, because the most valuable outcome of this series is action. Thank you very much. Daghang salamat. Padayon Cebu.
Thank you. Thank you, VP Darwin. And as well, we're extending our gratitude to the CCCI as we work with you further in expanding ASEBA Philippines in the coming years. Maraming salamat po.
We're also grateful for this collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Darwin. All right. So let's move on to the meat of our webinar. So to do a presentation or a talk on circular design principles, approaches, and specific business applications highlighting ASEBA case studies, may I now call on Dr. Rene Van Berkel. He's one of ASEBA's co-conveners. He's a senior expert under the EU Switch Asia Policy Support Component, as well as an international faculty member of Thammasat University. Rene, go ahead.
Thank you very much, and good morning from Bangkok joining this morning, but it's a pleasure to be with friends in the Philippines. So welcome, and thank you for the collaboration, Jill, Darwin, Dan, Thomas, very much appreciate. And I want to, in my comments, basically build upon some of the comments that Darwin was making, saying that circular economy is, of course, something where we say we need to close material cycles, and then everybody starts to think about we have waste, so let's try to bring this waste back into the economy. So go from the take, make, use, throw away linear economic model to recover and then perpetually recycle that. But that's, of course, not the full story, because if we want to do that, we should basically start with designing out waste, and that's the subject of today. So I want to say that circular economy is very much, and we discussed this last time, but circular economy is very much understood as the opposite of the linear economy. And if we have an opposite, it's kind of vague, because we know what it is and what we oppose, but it could be on the left, on the right, on the top, on the bottom. So that could be different interpretations, and that seeds a little bit of misunderstanding, disinterest, and skepticism. So with and that's then further complicated, and I saw the slides with Darwin put there, the different schools of thought. So we talk about circular business models, circularity principles, art practices, decoupling, and also so it makes it quite complicated for businesses to navigate a way forward. But we try to, with Switch Asia and the ASEAN, to be relatively simple on this, and we say that you could basically say that circular economy is an innovation space. So, and the central tenet of it is to zero out the net inflows of virgin resources from the environment. So we want to basically get as close as possible to net new materials coming in, new energy, new water coming in. And at the same time, also the net outflow of waste. So what we throw away and what we take in needs to come zero, and then we can be circular. So that's maybe we can say this is a directional goal. We can never achieve that fully because the engineering stands in the way, the physical sciences, but we should get at least that way so far. And that's also commensurate with the ISO 59004 series of standards. So if we do that, then we have basically three resource strategies which are there. So we can try to keep resources as long as possible in use. So circularity, recover, and reutilize and perpetually do that. And we can look at resource efficiency. So what we use that as efficiently as possible and as long as possible before it comes away. So if we do same things with less materials, then of course we have less waste. And then the last one is resource substitution, which says take advantage of the renewable materials, which we have renewable energy, because they can be basically recycled back into nature with limited impact. And then we have, of course, the product life cycle or value chain, which we have from extraction, manufacturing, service, use, end of life management, and then resource recovery and retention. So that is going there. And then we see this as basically an innovation space where we have a circular economy. We look at open-ended innovation. So it's not limited by a set of remanufacturing, recycling, reuse practices, but it's how far we can think in terms of applying these circularity strategies, these resource strategies to this circular value chain. So that gives us basically then a sort of what we could say in design an extended value outlook. So we look at innovations because ultimately we need to change products and services to avoid waste. So that's an innovation, but this innovation can have different levels, and we are basically seeing then 5 different levels. So we can innovate at the level of product or the service which is there. So we have a different item on the market, and we can look at the business process. How do we make it? How do we distribute it? How do we deliver this? Then we can look at the business model. So how do we make money out of this? So what are the cash flows that are going? Then we can see how we partner with our networks, so the recycling networks, the supply networks, how we can change to different materials. So we start using bio residues, and we need to collaborate with farmers, or if we collect the materials there. And then we need to look at the ecosystem, which is basically all the service providers, and also how finance is provided, how policy is related. But I guess that within the firm's mandate, initially, it's about product, business model, and business processes. And I can illustrate these 5 levels maybe with some examples. So Mysol is a biotechnology startup in Indonesia, Bandung, and they are basically specialized in mushroom biotechnology. And they developed a process to produce sustainable alternative leather and plastic-like materials using mushrooms. So they grow mushrooms on organic waste from farmers, and then they produce a mycelium-like material, which is leather or plastics. And they are then also user and producer of organic waste. They use the organic waste as a growth substrate, but it's not disappearing there. So the organic waste stays after the growing, and they have to deal with the composters to combat back, and they look at energy and water efficiency. So looking at the 5 levels, then basically their starting point is that they have a business process. They have a technology to grow and process mycelium-derived materials. Then they look at a product that's then used as a sustainable leather and plastic alternative. They have different business models, so they are providing pivoting different business models. So they have design and brand partnerships, and they also license the technology. So the largest manufacturing is actually taking place in Japan right now. They have a value network because they have to collect waste from farmers, which they can use in their process, and they also have to get rid of the organic waste which they have. So we have that a composting network. The ecosystem, maybe there's no change there. So we take another one that's Non, a startup here in Bangkok that is basically providing mattresses as a service. So they overcome the affordability gap. So instead of buying an expensive mattress, you can lease it and pay a monthly fee for it. And that is, and then they get the materials back for recycling. So basically, their model, their innovation starts at the business model. So you have a subscription service for mattresses. But if you just have the subscription service, nothing changes on the materials used. So they also then have additional changes in the business, in the process, in the product, sorry, because they start to design the mattress so that it's more easily recyclable. Because in the end, they are responsible for recycling. So it's in their own interest to make recycling easier. And then they have business process. So they actually have to manage a stock of mattresses, which is with the different customers. And they have the value network of setting up the reverse logistics and the mattress recycling infrastructure. And then they also have an issue on mobilizing alternative financing, because the financing for this business is basically a stock of mattresses which are dispersed at customer premises. So this works, all these 5 levels work together. So then we speak about innovation, and that's, I put here the definition of OECD, because innovation, we often think about the next generation of the iPhone, but it's basically any process or everything that's improved is innovation. And they say then that's basically based around entrepreneurship. So you need an agent who's driving this. We need the design, an idea or concept, and we need knowledge, the insights and understanding. And that is basically circular design, is that the idea and the concept design stage, but it brings in the knowledge and the entrepreneurship. So what we often do, and I think that's quite common also, Circo. So Tanya will talk a little bit about that, but basically we have what is often said is the 3I principle there. So initiate, ideate, implement. So initiate is basically looking at discovering circularity opportunities. So analyze your product and then identify where improvements could take place from the circularity perspective. Then develop different concepts. So apply these circularity strategies and come up with a conceptual idea, and then create circular solutions out of that. So with that, we have basically from a ASEBA side, we're working on 2 main tools. So basically a circular design strategies or strategy wheel, and then a circular canvas to help with the development of the solutions in the end. So let me explain a little bit. So we are working on this, and this is still under development, so it's not yet published, but the circular design wheel, which is basically saying we have the 3 components: a product, the business processes, so manufacturing, the delivery, the procurement, and the sales, and then the business model. So that's how you generate and cash flows out there. And then we have basically our 3 strategies of circularity, efficiency, and substitution, which are then driving these the transformation. So the image is not yet quite optimal, so we need better designers, better graphical designers than I am. So I admit that straight away. So then we can look at different categories of indicators or design strategies that are available. And this is very much work which comes also at Delft University. So they talk about products that flow, so fast-moving consumer goods. So you have to basically try it. That's packaging, fashion, and so on. So slowing this down, so keeping it longer in use, and then organize it back. So reuse, refill, products as a service, and then organize means that collection, reverse logistics, then material recycling. So if it disentangles just one of the business cases, which we very inspirational business case from the Philippines, Bio Manila. So they use silk, cotton, and other natural fibers and improve energy and water efficiency, minimize and reuse the fabric offcuts, and have rooftop solar. So they basically slow down because they design for quality, comfort, and attachment. So they slow down the fashion, so people will keep their garment, their items for longer use, and they're organized because they recover and repurpose fabric waste, and then they have some resource efficient business practices. So then we can look at products that last. So that's more long-lasting products. So that are attached, and then we have a number of strategies that are often adhered to. So designed for attachment and trust. So people want to hang on with this product, so it's because it's a bond with the user. Durability, so it doesn't break down. Standardization and compatibility, so it can still be used in next generations. Ease of maintenance and repair, so it can be fixed if something breaks down. Adaptability and upgradability, so you're not immediately run out if there's some other things. And design this and reassembly. So many items are under there, but I just want to put a framework. And we see this, for example. Oh, there's somebody speaking there. Can we mute? So I just continue there. Then we have the example of Felix, which is these furniture manufacturers. So they're focusing on timeless design, craftsmanship, and lifetime refurbishment, and the upholstery service. They sustainably source the certified timber, and then they minimize and reuse the wood and the fabric offcuts in other products. So we see also there they design for attachment to trust, for durability, for ease of maintenance and repair, and for adaptability and upgradability. And also do then some resource efficient business processes. So then at the level of business processes, it's basically the more established area of resource efficiency cleaner production, which has been around for 30, 40 years. And that's looking at the business process and then trying to do these icons, which Una Benito and myself have worked on. So we look at better housekeeping, looking at appropriate inputs, process controls, equipment debottlenecking, alternative technologies, on-site reuse, sort of product redesign. So we see that, for example, at Holcim, Philippines, so production of lower carbon blended cement with inclusion of fly ash and other cementitious materials and use of municipal and solid waste as an alternative fuel, and then improving efficiency and energy and water use. So if I put that in the same diagram, we see use of sorry, that was too quick. Use of alternative fuels and materials is an input change. We have low carbon cement, and we have the technology changes and on-site reuse and recycling of water and energy. So that's these existing frameworks, we are trying to incorporate them into a larger sort of meta level circular design strategy wheel, which we also look forward to pilot with companies in the Philippines and later also in Thailand, Tanya. But we are talking about Philippines here this morning. So then we look at the business model, and there it's the business model is basically dealing with how companies are creating cash flow. So traditionally in the traditional business model, it talks about the value proposition. There we add the elements of not just the profit for the company, but also the people and planet impact that also Ben was referring to. And you look at value creation, so that's what is needed to actually create a product for the customer, then the delivery on how you will integrate with that, and the value capture is then the cost structure and the revenue streams. And what we add is then the value retention, which comes back to the resource substitution, efficiency, and circularity. So the physical resource flows as impacted by product design, and we look at impacts on environment, society, both at the level of cost and benefits. So we can also see changes in business models. So ICT, converged ICT solutions. So they look at customer premise equipment, so modems, cables. So they are after used by a consumer, they go back to be tested, and if they're good enough, they'll be refurbished and reprocessed back to a new customer cycle. Use some geothermal power and do plastics waste segregation. So they're clearly looking at the resource circularity by extending this resource substitution with renewable energy. And then that is a planet benefit, and they have key activities, business processes basically change. There's no change for the customer. Customer wouldn't see whether it's refurbished or new modem. Then my second tool, and that's published, so it's available on the ASEBA and Switch websites. So we basically say then if we have then a circularity ideas out of this ideation phase, then we need to work on the circular value proposition. So that's articulate the design concept and say how does it specifically contribute to circular economy, and how can we improve the contribution to circularity in terms of resource efficiency, substitution, and circularity. Then we look at the circular value creation. So how can you then look at the combination between these 5 levels of innovation that we distinguish. So we start with a business model, as in the case of non, but then what is the complementary changes that have to be made at the level of the product or the business processes to actually deliver a comprehensive circularity solution. And then we look at circular value capture, and that is basically looking at how we can create and also co-benefits, maybe for the community, for the business, for the environment, so that it makes the circularity solution more palatable, more investable, more rapidly to scale. So that's the circular solution canvas. That's already in a long report available. We're trying to make it also in terms of a number of simple fact sheets. So I have here an example elaborated, but I won't go into everything in detail. But it's basically Thai Wako, which is doing bra products. They redesigned them so the circularity value proposition is that they use recycled materials, recycled PET and nylon for the bra products. They do efficiency by enabling extended product use, and they do resource substitution because they partially shift to renewable energy and materials. So they have to redesign the bra products, these new materials for extended use, and they have new business process, including rooftop solar plants, provision of repair and end-of-life management services. And then the value capture is clearly that they are seeing this as a product diversification strategy to address a more environmentally conscious market segment. They have targets, and they see that the initial cost can be offset by longer-term profitability and market growth. They already have 30% power requirement met by renewables, and they have 20 tons recycling, and they supported livelihoods by procuring some plastic waste from the communities around their manufacturing operations. So this is all available. So I think that what ASEBA is trying to emphasize is that we could do this, support the ideation, the initiation of circular design with this organizing these circularity strategies at the 5 levels of product, business process, business model, and then ecosystem and the networks, and then looking at creating the additional value co-benefits so that it becomes more profitable, more attractive to invest in the circularity solutions. So that ultimately brings it back to what we discussed at length last time. So circular economy, we have to design for doing well as a business, for performing well in terms of lower cost, new revenue opportunities, and doing good for planet in terms of reducing waste, reducing climate emissions, and for society, creating jobs and livelihoods. I think this one we will come back later on. So I'll finish here. Thank you very much. Grace, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Renee. Before we move on to our panel, we can ask our audience, is there any, can we have 1 or 2 questions? If there are any questions for Dr. Van Berkel? Anyone from our participants? Do you have any questions for Dr. Renee? You can raise your hand or type your questions in the chat if there are any. Right now, I'm not seeing anyone raising their hands or any question in the chat. So we can move on to the panel, but later on we'll have a Q&A. So Renee, if you can just jump back in.
Yes, that's fine. Yes.
At the Q&A section after the panel. All right. So we would like to, of course, we've heard from Dr. Renee the key principles of circular design and how it is applied to specific businesses. We will now hear more from specific businesses who are into the circular design space. So from this morning, for this panel discussion, we will be joined by 3 panelists. We have Ms. Rolin Lomoxo, our senior researcher from the Design Center of the Philippines. We also have with us Mr. Matthew Lazaro. He's the Vice President of Asia Textile Mills Incorporated. And also with us this morning is Dr. Tanya Porn Riktitayawut. She is the Executive Director of the Global Compact Network in Thailand. Let me also introduce to you the moderator for this panel, Mr. Hill Gonzalez. He's one of the co-conveners of ASEBA. So I'll now turn over the floor to Hill. Hill, go ahead.
Thank you, Grace. Can you hear me?
Yes, clearly.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. So happy and excited to join you today and moderate this webinar titled Designing for Circularity. Of course, together with our distinguished panelists from the Philippines, we have Rolin and Chuck, and all the way from Bangkok, Dr. Tanya. So to start the story sharing going, we now give first Rolin, and then Chuck, and then Dr. Tanya, in that order, your 6 to 7 minutes to briefly introduce your institutions and how exactly in terms of dynamics, how did the whole concept of circular economy born in your institution or was triggered for adoption? Rolin, please.
Well, thank you, Hill, and thank you, Grace. Thank you for having us here. It's an honor to be here. The Design Center programs and projects are always aligned with the circularity principles. And one of our projects is the Piñapel project. And I'd like to share this through a presentation. Let me share my screen. So I'm from the Design Center of the Philippines. This is an attached agency of the Department of Trade and Industry created under RA 10557, or Philippine Design Competitiveness Act of 2014, to enhance the competitiveness and innovation of Philippine products and services through design. Anchored in the Design Count study, the first ever mapping of the Philippine design economy, the Design Center launched the National Design Policy of the Philippines last year, our country's first ever comprehensive framework for design as a strategic driver of national development, built on evidence of what Philippine design already contributes and what it is fully capable of becoming. The National Design Policies Action Plan sets the foundation for a long-term ambition that within 10 years, the design becomes a known best practice discipline for all Philippine businesses to develop desirable circular products and services and to thrive in new international markets. Circular economy is not an add-on to this vision. It is built into its very core. Also, the Design Center's mandate places us at the very heart of the circular economy because, according to the European Commission's Joint Research Center, up to 80% of a product's environmental impact is determined at the design stage. So if we want to reduce waste, lower carbon emissions, and build a more resilient economy, we must intervene upstream. We must intervene at design. So there is only one planet Earth, yet by 2050, global consumption patterns suggest humanity will be using resources as if we had three planet Earths. The traditional linear model is pushing economies beyond planetary boundaries and eroding ecological systems upon which all prosperity depends. Material consumption has risen by over 65% globally, reaching 95.1 billion metric tons in 2019. Purpose, people, planet, and prosperity are Design Center's quadruple bottom line approach to circular design. This is anchored in the core value of malasakit or compassion, which is the authentic Filipino design perspective on developing impact-driven solutions that address the problems of today and of tomorrow. So at the Design Center, we are guided by the 12 principles of CBI Sustainable Design Framework, or from the Center for the Promotion of Imports from Developing Countries, spanning recycled and renewable materials, local sourcing, social and efficient manufacturing, cultural preservation, better working conditions, longer product lifetimes, and optimized end-of-life recovery. So, as I've mentioned, Peñapel is one of our projects under the Raw Materials Development Project. Piñapel is coined from the word piña or pineapple and pel from the word papel, which is paper. Transform discarded pineapple leaves, which is an agricultural waste historically burned in fields, developed into specialty paper and globally recognized sustainable materials. It won a DNAD award for future impact on environment and sustainability. So the Philippines is the second largest producer of pineapple, and 1.3 million tons of agricultural residues from the pineapple leaves is generated annually. So only 2% of that leaves are utilized for fiber production, leaving us with 98% waste. Based on this, Piñapel seeks to create value from discarded pineapple leaves through material innovation and product development. So sharing the Piñapel value chain to showcase the Piñapel's journey. So first in the chain is our raw material. As regenerative, we can cultivate and grow pineapples to produce our raw material from the same land that our pineapple farmers are farming. We initially collaborated with just three partners: the supplier of the pineapple leaves, the processor of leaves into pulp and paper, and the converter of paper into packaging. But now we have larger network of partners and collaborators for the pineapple processing, design, and product development. So for the pineapple conversion, we have indigenous and contemporary processes wherein we combine Filipino craftsmanship with technology to differentiate the level of production and the potential to scale. So aside from our mother brand, the Piñapel, we have two sub-brands, the Piñapel Artisans, which is creating value through crafts, and Piñapel Industrial, which is energizing industry through innovation. So number four in the chain is how we reimagine waste through the products that we produce under the sectors of packaging, fashion, biocomposites, interior products, and furniture. So number five in the chain is really the outcome that we wanted to achieve for Peñapel, which is to contribute to achieving United Nations Sustainable Goals, and we have identified 8 goals. And last in the chain is to close the loop. We wanted to make sure that we develop materials to design out waste and pollution through the continued utilization and creating value from the discarded pineapples. So we in our sustainable research and development, we started in 2018, wherein we created partners. We developed the materials, developed the design, and developed products. And then as part of the initiative of the DTI, we need to commercialize all these developments. So we participated together with our partners, mostly MSMEs, farmers associations, and we were able to commercialize it at trade fairs, exhibitions, local and international. And then it provided and created a market for pulp and paper and derivatives for the pineapple leaves, like the fibers, pulp and paper, biocomposite pellets, and woven and non-woven fabrics. And then to make the pricing, quantity, and quality realistic, we conducted the market study, the feasibility study, and facilitated the Pineapple Investors Forum to be able to present the green investment on catalyzing the production of a new green innovative pulp. And then in 2024, we have the Design X Pineapel. This is a platform to take Philippine MSMEs on a path toward green entrepreneurship with the furniture and the interior products manufacturers. And in 2025, we've showcased Pineapel as a flagship example of sustainable and circular packaging innovation. So here's our partner since its conception in 2018 under packaging, home, fashion, interior products, biocomposites, and furniture. And with us, we've invited Asia Textile Mills, one of our partners from the textile industry. And he'll share more about his impact on the pineapple farmers and the textile industries, as well as the fashion sectors. So here's the one of the support and the result of the Pineapple Investors Forum is the support from Global Green Growth Institute and Korea International Cooperation Agency, because Piñapel is identified as one of the large-scale agricultural waste to biomaterials project in the Philippines. This is to promote agricultural waste circular economy in the Philippines to enhance the climate resilience of vulnerable farmers through the establishment of a pioneering non-wood pulp mill that is intended to strategically catalyze the production of new green innovative pulp and pulp products with good design, innovation, and sustainability as core. So thank you everyone, and feel free to visit or contact us at for any inquiries or assistance. Thank you.
Thank you, Rolin. So that's very, very interesting. In fact, later on, it's good to discuss how you can exponentially replicate your Piñapel project. In fact, I find you're in a very powerful position being under the Department of Trade, your national government agency, on how to subject all manufacturing companies to the CE test, the one you're using, so that each company registered under DTI will be placed in that CE journey from the time of, adopting the concept, creating, developing, and so on. So we'll discuss that further later on. May we now go to Chuck, please?
Okay. Yeah, good morning, and thank you, Hill. Let me just share my screen. Is my screen up?
Yes,
Can you
yes,
see my
Sir Chuck,
screen?
we can see it.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And good morning, everybody. Good morning. My name is Chuck Lazaro, and I am a Christian businessman, and I'm the director and vice president for operations at Asia Textile Mills Inc. Asia Textile Mills has been serving the Philippine textile industry for more than 4 decades. We focus in producing quality fabrics for the uniform market while continuously investing in innovation and sustainability. Established in 1984, our textile factory is located in Calamba, Laguna, Philippines, maybe about 43 kilometers from Metro Manila. We are the only fully integrated textile manufacturer in the country. We specialize in the design and production of fabrics for uniforms, workwear for government agencies, schools, and corporate institutions. We supply textiles or fabrics for the military and police uniforms. We also produce technical textiles for the hospitality, electronics, and medical industries. And we have also developed our own manufacturing system to produce alternative textiles, blending Philippine indigenous fibers like pineapple, abaca, and banana fibers with cotton, recycled polyester, rayon, and even polyester. This alternative material is integrated in the design and production of our fabrics for uniforms and technical textiles. We are committed to building a sustainable and resilient textile industry. Our business is guided by stewardship. We believe that success is measured not only by profit, but also by the positive impact we create across the textile value chain. We believe that that business should create value for people, communities, and environment. And we practice stewardship by creating meaningful employment opportunities, supporting Filipino farmers and local communities, developing local textile manufacturing capabilities, promoting responsible use of natural resources, and investing in long-term industry growth. Our farm-to-fabric model allows us to connect agriculture with manufacturing. It is a collaboration that fosters both industry and community involvement. By participating in the entire value chain, we create more opportunities and retain more value locally. Unlike other traditional textile companies, Asiatex participates in multiple stages of the textile supply chain. And this slide shows you actually our integrated process from farm all the way to the manufacturing of the fabric. And this unique setup enables us to have better traceability, consistent quality control, greater value creation within the Philippines, and stronger partnerships with farming communities and other communities. Asia Textile Mills has been working directly with natural fibers and textile processing for many years, creating a true farm-to-market, farm-to-fabric ecosystem. Our goal is not simply to produce fabrics. We aim to strengthen every participant in the textile ecosystem, from farm to manufacturers to end users. So AsiaTex empowers communities. AsiaTex supports opportunities for farmers by providing additional income through alternative fiber crops, fiber processors through value-added processing activities, textile workers, of course, opportunities for manufacturing and technical jobs, customers by giving access to locally produced fabrics, and through industry partners through collaboration and in innovation and product development. We are firmly committed to guiding in the evolution of a new textile industry, one that will gradually and thoughtfully produce sustainable products, services, and systems. Our approach is fully integrated, ensuring that every aspect of our operations is in harmony with social, ecological, and cultural developments. Through this commitment, we aim to set a new standard for responsibility and innovation within the sector. We have clearly defined our purpose as stewards of the textile industry. Our mission is to create opportunities that promote human dignity and regenerate the environment while providing new materials in pursuit of a circular economy. This purpose guides our decision-making and inspires us to develop practices that benefit both people and planet. And this is our business transformation. Thank you very much.
Wonderful, Chuck. Thank you. Just a quick question. Is this CE aspiration triggered by your personal conviction? I mean, you're a vice president. Were you able to take it up to your board, senior management to adopt it? Or is it something which came down from you?
Yeah.
How was it? Please.
Well, actually, you know, like, if you talk about Pineapple Textile Hill, the Filipinos have been wearing pineapple textiles all our lives. And it is a fashion heritage and culture. And looking at it in a textile engineering point of view, we developed the pineapple fiber so that it can be used as raw materials for contemporary textiles. The inspiration comes from creating a legacy in the Philippine textile industry by transforming heritage textiles to contemporary performance fabrics. Well, yes, actually, as head of operations, you know, like inspiration really came from us, and I'm just lucky. I'm just blessed that, you know, I have a textile factory to innovate, to play around with a lot of things, you know, to test a lot of things. So that's why we thought about this. Thank you.
Wonderful. So we need to find ways and means to clone you. Okay. Now we go to all the way from Bangkok. Dr. Tanya, please take the floor.
Thanks so much. So may I bring the presentation slide up from the admin team? Yes. So hello, everyone. I'm Tanya from the Global Compact Network, Thailand. And today we would like to know about how to implement the circular into the business, right? Now, it's good time to moving from the linear focus on quantity, like business may sell a lot of product, no, into a quality, like creating business model around the product longevity and closing the resource cycle. I like to refer to the circle, meaning that of the international hub that they had established the concept from the Netherlands which multiple years of the program that dedicates to accelerate the process of getting the transition to a circular economy. So around 1,000 business around the world already adopt the concept. Among 11 countries, Thailand is one of the hubs that we established 4 years ago. So our mission of the Circle Hub Thailand is to help companies to rethink sustainably, not only by using a circular design, but we also help the company to rethink on the process that help their business identify the hidden economy opportunities. Right? It's guide on organizing company like one by one, coaching them step by step. But we use a concept like open track and set up the track of the same similar supply chain that they might have different pain point to transform some of the area we call lost resources. Try to find where are the losses from their business. And then they can identify what should be initiative or material, energy, or new economy that can value by design. Move on for the next slide, please. From the value that we're thinking, how can we create the value? And once it's creating, we should maintain the high level of the create of those values. So we call the concept of initiate, ideate, and implementing. So it's a journey of turn value loss into the value creation. Move on for the example. Next slide is a real coming to the life of the products we call our business case. Moving on for the Home Pro, please. The Home Pro in Thailand is the top of the retail business. So you can imagine of the company in Thailand at top of the home products relate as a retailer with 25% of the market share. They deliver over 7 million customers in the country and recognized as a massive product, right? Move on to the next slide and you can see how the circle class from our beginning, Home Pro has joined the learning as alumni, and then they began the idea. Yes, this one, as I realized that they need to move from whatever they think about the retailer to be a resource manager by adopting the product that last framework, ensuring that their product is on the process to adding value and focusing on the retaining the value of products post-use as well. So not only retain on the top level of the hill, how can they extend that product lifetime and ensure the life cycle by the end of the cycle, it could be also reloop or retain the value of product post-use. So next slide, you can see we initiate our focus by looking the critical of the problem. Since the number is a huge of 450,000 tons of waste, those are electric waste annually, yearly. But yet it's only 10% of them has properly collected and recycled. So Home Pro realized that they had scale to make a difference throughout this circle class. They also began the ideation thinking, utilizing product that last concept framework into the area of opportunities. So this slide also mentioning about how can they think holistically about who they are, what kind of business model, and they identify the major customer pain point that the customer wants to upgrade their appliance, but they're faced with inconvenience of not knowing how to get rid of the old products. So by the concept of the closed loop model, repair service, trade-in program, backhaul logistic, meaning that leverage their existing delivery network to act as a take back services, like the truck that they had to go to deliver the product, but they also directly collecting the bulky item from the customer homes. And they're also doing sorting of the process similar to the distribution center, but they can have another center of sorting out those collected product back alongside with specialized partners. And the circular, in a way of circular products, they recycle material like plastic, ceramic, and the metal. Those are manufactured into the new home, new goods, new appliance, and they can resell, can be a new product that can be sold again. So by using this kind of holistic concept, HomePro solved this through their campaign. It's a Trade in a Better Life campaign. So utilizing their existing backhaul logistic, they think about the delivery of the product that they could collect and the old one from no additional cost. And then those items is sent back to that distribution center properly. And they need to be ensured that they can separate by the using of the concept of waste electrical and the electrical equipment waste management. They have a standard to refer on those kind of the guidelines. So with this kind of the trade in and better life concept, they have an idea that if they do it alone, it could not be possible. But the standard is not easy as well. They had consult with many of the business people and also have a very good partner to upgrade the standard of waste collection. So successfully, could you also back two more slides, please? About collecting number is 197,000 of the old product that was collected. So in the 2024, back one more slide, please, that they successfully collected, that's about 200,000 items, or let's say those old products that was managed. So which was about 52% increase from each year. You can see the important part that it's growing. The plan to be sure that the old product was collected is not easy, but it's growing. It's huge. Its number is increasing. So now out of these, 93% of the waste products, weighing is about 7,000 tons has been managed properly. So as an upgrade of services, you can move on for the next slide. For the society, HomePro focus of solving this together with people. So identifying the solution with customer to be sure that the customer have well aware and it help generate the demand to their customer as well. So moving on, please, for the next one, that we can see that the circular product line is not only by the recycled material collected from customer, but in the first year after they collect a lot of products, they are also able to generate over the revenue, new generation about they can have a new product for sale. So because they use a very good high standard of the waste management sorting and processing center, this ensure that the mixed plastic on the metal or the properly separation of the recyclable item according to the global standard has been managed. So they use a global recycle standard, keeping thousands of tons of toxic wastes out of the improper landfill. So this helps a lot for the environment. So financially, moving on is money on economy. So they have a projection of even more impressive by the next few years, 26, 77, expanding more number of product SKU over 500 SKU that generating is 1,000 million baht. So by the year like this year and next year, it's gonna be double, like 2,000 million baht generating. So this projecting sale of increasing across about 800 circular items, capturing both appliance, electrical appliance and the home goods. So it shows that you can see the design out waste and you can design in the generating revenue. So moving on to see, this is a very success model that not only increase awareness on the customer, but they increase the demand. People would love to buy a upcycle product, and this help to change the behavior. So to see as an economic growth on CE, circular economy, this kind of business case is helping to see highlighting the compelling of currently 80% of collected material were recycled into the quality products. So the sale from circular product reach increasing number every year, year by year. So no matter it's going to be a very good challenging. So moving on to the key challenge, please. Yes, for this transition is not easy. As everyone knows that the key challenge were in the high initiative in the way that at the beginning, they have a lot of investment, It's required to modify system, it's required to find out what should be the difficulty in changing consumer behavior. So this need to build proper logistic waste management infrastructure. And however, our reflection from the Home Pro is a journey. It's clear that firstly, they have to learn about how to fail fast and how to learn to revamp in the way of circular economy isn't the one person mission. It's only with the way that we work together and the supply chain have to commit together as this is a long journey. So I leave some of the key message later that if you have any question about the business performance, I think a Home Pro team, management team also joined the webinar today. If you like to have some comment or specific question about the way they make this change internally with their own business people, and also how can they believe in the business success story that they can create to further success. Last but not least, the Home Pro also have a vision of expanding from not only closed loop system to open the loop of circularity to have more and more, to have ensure that post of the consumption is still have another more loop to go. So which involving joining force with the national level. And now we are international level, no? As a good partner to drive the system behavior change together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tanya. I consider yours as a very matured and very developed CE platform, CE program in terms of scope, reach, and so on. It's amazing what you do and how you put together and now instill it in Thailand. Maybe later on, we can also discuss how do you replicate this in the rest of ASEAN, since you know Philippines is the chair of ASEAN. I had suggested before that Global Compact Network creates an ASEAN caucus. So you can focus on ASEAN every year and see how to bring in the rest of ASEAN into your network. So thank you very much. Now we go to the first question, actually. Is well, as you know, Global Compact and design is it's in a way a platform and a champion in itself, right? But and of course, Asia Textile, Chuck, you are the company here, which undertakes CE itself. The very important thing is how do you either your client in the in terms of Rollin, how do you help embed, okay, or make CE part of the DNA of the company you're trying to help? And well, and that I guess applies to all of the three, but more Philippine setting for Rollin and Chuck, and then later on, Dr. Tanya is ultimately it cannot be just like a cherry pick. You know, it has to be a total adaptation or adoption. So can you just give us some insights on how do you make a company really take this all in and say we will do it?
Hill. Anyway, like Asia Textile Mills, well, circular design is embedded in our commitment to creating sustainable opportunities through natural fibers. And through our farm to fabric approach, we transform agricultural resources and byproducts, particularly pineapple leaves, into valuable textile materials. For many years, we have really worked with natural fibers, specifically Philippine natural indigenous fibers. And, we've seen a lot. I mean, we realized a lot of things. Like by doing that, we created a lot of livelihoods. Especially from the marginalized, the farmers. When we not, I don't want to say invent, but we created our own machine to extract the fabric. I mean the fiber from the pineapple leaves, and that again generated some effect because now people started building machines to extract the fabrics. So you know, like uh, and uh, and having this having the natural fibers, you know, which we are rich. Our country is so rich with natural fibers right now, specifically like pineapple and abaca. Did you know that we are the second largest producer of pineapple in the world? You know, and we see that by this maybe the Philippine textile industry can have an edge, you know, edge for the world. I mean, towards new and alternative
Yes.
textiles, you know. So,
Okay.
yeah, so
In
it's
fact, there's a very good follow-up question here, Chuck, from the audience. Says recovering materials may actually increase the cost of traditional processes. How do we address this challenge, while
well,
maintaining business profitability?
yeah, well. In our case, you know, well, you know, in like for now, like the natural fibers is like, honestly, it's a side business that we're doing. You know, the side business that we're doing. We still have our regular materials, especially the technical textiles that we're doing that are still in demand. However, you know, like I really have a very good innovative team, you know, be behind me, textile engineers, mechanical engineers, and whatsoever. And we're actually like developing some automation behind, you know, specifically on the extraction, specifically on the fiber extraction, so we could like scale up and lower the cost of, you know, our materials.
I see. Very good. That's a good model, I think,
Yeah.
that
So
we can use. Roland, with the various companies that you deal with or projects you initiate,
Yeah.
it's like, how do you sell? See, but of course, you're a
Mhm.
government. You can come up with a law and say, hey, you comply, But how do you sell it in a way that it gets very compelling and very attractive for companies to say, oh, it really makes sense to do CE?
Well, actually here it's not as easy as said to really compel everyone to go into CE unless you provide them with the opportunity for marketability. So for us, the Piñapel project started with a request from a pineapple farmer. So we know that we are an agricultural country and a lot of our wastes are not utilized. This provided additional carbon emissions in our environment. So when we developed Peñapel as well, at that time, we have stakeholders from the MSME who are requiring packaging materials with alternative to plastics. And also there's a need for like furniture manufacturers because especially the exporters, there are some products and materials that are not allowed to go to Europe, to US because of the component. So um, first, with the farmers, we've provided an additional value for their current, like if they produce pineapple from the leaves, they also can provide them additional revenue. So with Peñapel, they an additional 12% in their daily income was added, and for that as a supplier of the material, the leaves. And for MSMEs, the converter or the processor of leaves into various products, um, when we when we when we design and develop new products and showcase it, it really build a market for these types of products. So with that, you can see the market opportunities for these MSMEs, for these manufacturers. And also, we are at the tipping points. It's not a matter of choosing, but it's a matter of like it's what we need to do in terms of biodiversity, environment, and climate change. So, um, the design center, we get this opportunity for a green investments for this type of innovation. So, in the long run, we'll say we start, there's an investment cost in the processing, but in the long run, um, it will lower the cost of the production when you doing the circular economy principles, because we want to have this zero waste, and we want to provide value for those waste, and we like know the in terms of transparency of all the materials that is input, from the input to the output. So I think basically that's what really pushed the partners to align with circularity principles.
Well, Rolin, I think you brought up a very important point. No? You cannot do CE in a vacuum, meaning to say you have to bring in the market who will provide the demand for the products that have gone through a CE process, for example. And, another item, of course, is the financing. How do you transition? And I think that's a question I'd like to raise to Dr. Tanya, because in your presentation, you've given us samples that it makes viable sense for companies, and you gave an example of that company increasing demand and so on. But in your ecosystem, are you able to bring in the market who are there and saying, "Oh, this is the type of products we want"? And second, the investment side, because in your presentation you say it does require a rather high investment to go into CE. How do you make investment available in your platform? Dr. Tanya, please.
There are two questions. Are you asking on the platform of our circular design, or you ask direct to the business like HomePro?
Yeah, both. Whichever is comfortable for you, Dr. Tanya.
We are a non-profit organization that generate the idea to implement the methodology to help business to rethink. So when we consider the platform of the business case, before they approve the initiative to launch any new idea, it's not only create a new product. So everyone, the circular design is not only create a new product. Some of the solution is go back to rethink about why they need to build their business, not only to sell the product. Sometimes they are moving away from selling product at the low price to be the subscription model, like you can imagine, like Netflix. Once we can generate the new demand, of sharing economy. So subscription model, sharing business, repair model, those also create a lot of revenue by not adding the cost. So back to the case like HomePro, if the HomePro team would like to jump in, welcome to. They also have a very smart way of rethink. So moving away from the traditional ecosystem on collecting the waste, but they leverage their logistic process. Let's see that if those are the services that the company need to distribute the product, but why not they like to collect back some bulky of the item from the customer home, no matter those item is not belong to the product that they sell before, right? Because sometimes the customer have their own television, which is currently less people see through the television, except the football. People see from the device. So they have a lot of big, large item at home. So those are value item, not meaning the waste yet. If you disassembly those collect correctly through the international standard, those are the urban mining, Dr. Jill. They have a lot of things that hidden, like a treasure hunt from those kind of items. So this is the way of rethink sustainably. If those are the new model that add extra cost, but they could think that how could they survive in long run with those incremental costs, not the short-term benefit. So this is a highly level of leadership that they need to be sure that when they transform and transitioning in the product, that circularity, we call the concept product that lasts framework. Thank you.
Oh, Hill, I think you're muted.
Oh, sorry. So there's another question actually for you, Dr. Tanya. It's the one on investment. For companies who wish to migrate and develop an ecosystem for their company to be CE based, is it something that your network is also able to provide or give some leads?
So back to the matching with the government and partnership, we help the company to identify what should be their next ecosystem. No, the money is not only free by having a loan. In Thailand, we have a very good support of the green taxonomy. So to move to be green, not only able to get a bankable project, but they also have a lot of project that is just less brown in transitioning in. So they have an ecosystem from the SME Development Bank, which already developed the green loan. They have a lot of private sector would like to match the way of recovered material from those unused material. So they have a lot of joint hand, not thinking investment is only money, thinking that investment is also opportunity. Sometimes unused material from one, for example, they have another good example of the unsold food waste from the massive trade channel like modern trade. So we have a lot of yet unused of the food every single day, 40% from the shelf. So those also things that we can think no need to invest, but there are second source of the material for the rural area, or sometimes we give to the animal in the zoo. So this kind of robust system creating generating revenue by not having investment at all. But to afford to make it true, we need to have a people who have open mind to think about what should be a collaboration effort. So that's gonna be investment. The collaboration, extra hands are the good investment, not the money.
I agree. There are some questions, Dr. Tan, you raised MSMEs, which is very close to our heart. Can I turn over to Grace? I understand there's some questions which will be directed to Rene.
Yes. Rene, are you here? There are two questions actually on MSMEs. So one question is, can circularity be viable for MSMEs? How can MSMEs practically start circular design and circular business transition? And what are simple metrics that MSMEs can use to track their circular impact? So these are the questions on MSMEs that we got from the audience.
Yes. So thank you very much, and I think it's quite clear. We have this ASEBA documented over 90 business cases, and I think about 1/3 of them are clearly MSMEs, so traditional MSMEs, either family businesses or social enterprises, which are doing this. Started to work on plastics recycling or regenerative agriculture. So it's clearly also an agenda for MSMEs, even though, of course, MSMEs are less resourced and typically also less capable, less technical capabilities to do this. But we have evidence that the MSMEs can also benefit significantly from the circular economy. On the question of metrics, there's basically a two-pronged answer. So one is that there is an international effort underway, which is called the Global Circularity Protocol, which is trying to get a comprehensive measurement of circularity indicators. And that is a little bit following, for those who are a little bit more familiar, the greenhouse gas protocol, which has been out there. So how do we account for greenhouse gas emissions in your own enterprises, from your power supply and from your other suppliers? And this global circularity protocol is trying to do something similar for materials then. So what are you using in your material cycle? What are your producers or suppliers doing? What's happening with the consumer? So it's currently in the pilot stage, and it's being driven by the World Business Council for Sustainable Development and the One Planet Network. I think what we have tried with ASEBA is that we think this is almost a Rolls Royce for measuring, so it might not be necessary to have that. You can also get there with a simple Toyota or even something even smaller to do that. So we've proposed, and that's also in the SEBA framework, which I can put in the chat box. There we came up with this indicators of 10 indicators for 10 indicators for circularity progress. So we look at material efficiency. So how many dollars do you make per kilogram of material that you use? How much water do you use per kilogram and how much? So this material efficiency, material circularity indicators are a relatively simple framework. You cannot certify that, but that's maybe also good enough for your company to measure what did we do last year, what are we doing right now, so are we moving in the right direction. So there's lots of simple indicators that we could look. We could look at how much is this percentage of recycled materials in your total bill of materials as a simple indicator to move forward, or what is the percentage of renewable materials, like Chuck's story with what's agro residues compared to the total input material that he's using in the factory. So that's maybe a short answer. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Rennie. But I also like what Dr. Tanya mentioned, that there's a bank, MSME bank, who's willing to help MSMEs who are now, if you're part of the value chain and uses CE processes, and it's something that can provide financial support. Now, I'd like to ask the three, starting with Roland, Chuck, and then Dr. Tanya. What are one or two greatest barriers that you have that keeps you from furthering the things that you do on CE, on circular? If you're, how are you to be able to promote more, for Global to have the bigger network, and for, of course, for Chuck to broaden his reach, as I mentioned, the supply chain of your textile can be brought into the CE journey. So may I start with Roland, please?
Yes, thank you, Hill. For our development, specifically Peñapel, the greatest barrier would be the industrialization, or how to scale our initiative. This would require systems to change, industries to retool, and workers to reskill, and cultures to shift. But we were able to somehow address these challenges through collaboration. So we were able to build networks who have this capacity to further push our development forward. So hopefully, with the access to the Green Climate Fund, we will be able to produce a green innovative pulp and a pioneering agri-waste circular economy here in the Philippines.
That's
Thank
good.
you.
So it's not as easy as simply, coming up with the law and say, before we renew your business license, you have to be a CE champion or something like that. So of course people will comply, but if you're not something really internalized, it won't go very far. So okay, so industrialization. How about you, Chuck?
Well, in my case, it's always price points, textiles, we are just raw materials for the garment industry, or whatever industry there is that they use us. So basically that's one of the problems, and secondly, I guess it's such a journey. This thing is such a journey. Sustainability is such a journey, long journey, that we really need to have more collaboration with people. Maybe in my case, people ask me, "Can you do this? Can you do that?" I always say, "Yes, I can do this. I can do that." But you gotta help me. You have to help me. Investments, of course. We were talking about banks. Banks to support us, or whatever. My biggest problem there is that we are such a conservative organization. We don't like loans. We don't like we don't like involving finance from other people. So I'm thinking of maybe a sort of a joint venture of what we could do together to make this to make it at least like as I said, accessible. I mean, like, I'm not talking about profitability because I said, it's not going. I mean, we won't see profit right away, but at least make it more accessible so it can be sustainable in the long run. So that's it. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So I think the answer to that is be a member of ASEBA. So there you're able to find opportunity. As Dr. Tanya mentioned, you dive into it, then opportunities come up. Those the hidden opportunities, because for all you know, the companies that will provide you the demand and the financing and so on are all there, and people are not just talking to each other. So I turn to Dr. Tanya, please.
Yes, we had interviewed many of the alumni from the Circle Hub, and today I recognize Home Pro that we had also interviewed what are the key challenges, no, and what should be the opportunity that we can grow together. So from the answer from the Home Pro management, they have a vision to expand from the closed loop system to be open loop circularity. So what does it mean? This is a long-term relationship, not only for their customer. Of course, they have a trust customer that build brand loyalty and drive sustainability. That's why it's repeat pattern that customer create the demand. Now, if we like to go beyond the demand on that relationship, so we now have expand national level, like with government, with SMB Development Bank, to get the same idea of the ecosystem growing. So another key message that I like to recognize that Home Pro also mentioned that what they believe is very focused and simple, that they built, Home Pro built the ecosystem first, and the sustainable business value will follow.
Wonderful. So, can we excite you to establish an ASEAN caucus for your Global Compact network starting this year in the Philippines, together with ASEBA and so on? Because you have a template. What you've done in Thailand is terrific, and it's something I think worth sharing to add, but giving it more of an ASEAN flavor. So every year, we're able to invite you and be part of the ASEAN process. So what do you think of that idea?
These are collective of the effort, no, everyone. I just one of the person whom would like to ignite this idea in the country like Thailand. So I walk by myself to talk and request governments. I walk by myself to talk with the embassy, Dutch embassy in Bangkok. I walk by myself to talk with business. Could we start? They just not. They just say yes in the beginning without any money. Then we thought
yes.
about who gonna run this. I have no trainer, I have no money, I have no resource. But meet the like-minded person, not only me. I like to bring back to finally the business. They are like-minded leadership.
Yes.
Like the company, I like to mention other names as well, but I do not have a consent from them for today's conversation yet. Many of the like-minded are the top CEOs of those business. So they believe that they can make a positive impact, period. But they don't know how, they don't know why, and then they don't know when. It's the long-term game. So Global Compact, we are kind of a kick start, ignite the idea. Let's do it.
Yes.
Sometimes we
yes.
struggle, like together here and now, we are struggle. Don't worry. We keep on getting the like-minded, hold hands, new hands sometimes, no? Sometimes we need to leave the old hand. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Sometimes we get a new friend. It's okay. It's a truly sustainable business. Only when business can run long term. So that's gonna be a genuine help each other, no? To have a very good, lively conversation on the business. And at the end, why we call circular as an economy? It's a business economy. But the investment is not invest on money, it's invest on nature. So we have a trust system that we need to get the person who think about natural resources limited, but what should be the idea to
Yeah.
minimize use of the virgin material. So those gonna build our loyalty of the friendship on circular economy together. Yeah, thank
Great,
you.
great. Well, any initiative, of course, is difficult. But as you know, 2029, is it? Or 28, Thailand will be the chair of ASEAN. So you might want to consider that. But I see the hand of Ben. Ben, please.
Hello, good morning again. Yes, sir, well noted on the ASEAN caucus, and we are also working on how we can bring in this theme on circularity in that caucus. So we're here to excite you about it, but yeah, things are underway so that we can put together what we can in the ASEAN region as regards circular economy.
Terrific, terrific. Okay, I guess we're at the tail end of this very exciting. Well, I'm giving each one 2 minutes what is for you is your takeaway that you want us, your audience, to take away from our webinar this morning. So, may I start with Rosie?
Well,
Is she still?
yes, yes, Hill.
Yes.
We know we cannot go from zero to circular overnight, but however, we are approaching tipping points. So the Philippines, as an archipelagic nation, is already experiencing intensifying typhoons, rising seas, and ecosystem stress, and we cannot afford to move slowly. So we just need a just transition, one that moves deliberately, equitably, and inclusively toward a net zero circular economy embedding environmental, social, and economic value into every step of the journey. So we need like a legislative foundation that makes that journey possible. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck. Chuck, please.
Yeah, the earth has enough resources to supply the basic necessities of mankind: food, shelter, and clothing. And as business stewards, we have to innovate and manage them properly. The key lesson to circular design or circular economy is that even agricultural waste can become a resource. By designing products and processes that keep materials in use for as long as possible, businesses can create economic opportunities, reduce environmental impact, and generate positive outcomes for communities. Sustainability should not be viewed as a cost, but as a long-term investment that drives innovation, resilience, and shared growth. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chuck. Dr. Tanya, please.
Yeah, we need to involve joint hand for driving the systemic behavioral change. So I need to get approval from you that we should also ask ourselves, ask each individual, everyone from our participants, what kind of behavior you like to change. No? At least this year is super annual. Apologize that in Vietnam and in the Philippines you hit almost hurt too much. Thailand also one of the top area that risk, but we are together in Southeast Asia and Asia. So we're gonna hit by the super annual. Next year, once we come back, we need to share what kind of systemic behavioral change we had done to really prevent the risk, to really save our life together. And I wish everyone, you can support each other to drive the systemic behavioral change together.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tanya. So with that, CE is a work in progress, but as we go through these webinars, we're able to chip away and, demystify what CE is all about and showcasing people who have gone through the journey with all sorts of challenges, with, small to very global ambitions. But work together, and the mere openness to share our stories and business cases is, I think, brings us all in the right way towards, like building blocks on how we can bring CE, facilitate its from awareness to utilization to building the ecosystem. So on behalf of the organizers, thank you so much to my wonderful panelists, and I turn over to Mary Grace. Thank you.
Thank you, Hil. Well, we went over time, but it's because of the valuable insights that we've got from our panelists. Again, thank you very much for joining us this morning. Thank you, Hil, for moderating that panel. To close this webinar, we now call on the team leader of EU Switch Asia program, Dr. Zinaida Fediva, to do a short closing message. Dr. Zinaida,
thank you very much, Grace.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Grace. And while Renee, you're pulling the slides, it's only 3, and they are more of a informative nature. I would like to cordially thank our co-conveners, Thomas, Jill, Renee, for not only working on the background, but being very active during this exchange, really bringing insights into different perspectives, complementary perspectives the colleagues have been sharing. I also would like to note that the 3 organizations which are co-hosting this webinar, CCCI, Global Compact, Philippines, and ASEBA, really truly have obviously very shared commitment and complementary perspectives. So even in your words, Thomas, Darwin, Ben, you are speaking. So Ben, when you are speaking about new ways of thinking of what resources is and how to retain its value, it immediately resonates with Darwin, who is saying that if we are serious on circular economy, we cannot focus on waste alone. We must focus on design, closing material loop, efficiency, recognizing that this is really the way towards long-term business sustainability and survival, as well as benefiting of the community. And certainly our wonderful, wonderful panelists are speaking about that. Roland, Chuck, Kuntanya, really incredible insights. In fact, I would like to perhaps ask all 3 of you to, with help of Grace and Renee and Thomas, maybe to dive into insights and try to document the stories which you have shared through the ASEBA business cases, so that 90 plus cases which are already available to everybody to learn from could be mightily enriched through your experiences. It's particularly interesting, I think, because while we of course speak about funding, the global gateway of the EU is also looking for investable projects from the business perspective. And while we are saying that money are needed, we also need to understand, and through our collective work, this is what we are doing, that businesses or community or aggregations of businesses to be investable from the circular economy perspective have to be ready for that. So, and it's also not only, and many of you have said it, it's not only about money, it's also about access to the markets, right? If you can sell and customers are buying, or if you cannot sell what customers were buying before, but now due to new requirements, many of you mentioned, referred to the new rules coming from the EU and the fact that unless changes have happened, some of the supply chains might experience very serious troubles. Now, that was a very interesting conversation. And again, I would like to emphasize that Chuck, you have been speaking about this. Kuntanya spoke about this. the others mentioned that it's a journey. It's a journey, and together through shared vision and complementary perspectives, we can really bring this innovation to the market. Now, a few points specifically to the commitment of Switch Asia and ASEBA in particular for the future activities. Number one, but before that, let me just note that through its design methodology, which ASEBA is working on, what we are trying to do, what ASEBA is trying to do, is to put ASEBA development insights and insights from the companies with which we are working into design methodologies also of other people working with design, for example, into Circo methodology. So we are really looking forward to make this kind of connections, as well as Rolin, we are hoping to work with you on potential processes on design for circular economy, combining our networks and our methodologies. Now, how can we bring it together? Jill, thank you very much for sort of drumming up the need to bring businesses together. ASEBA is for ASEAN, by ASEAN businesses. So joining the alliance would be very important. So please join. You can either write to us through ASEBA website, you can apply, or you can write to Renee, to Thomas, to Jill, or connect through the, or to Grace, of course, or connect through other means which are available on Switch Asia and on the ASEBA and also ARIBA websites. So join the alliance, contribute to the business cases. And again, Rolin, please refer us to the businesses which are doing it and whose cases might be inspirational and useful to learn. Chuck, please, we are very keen to document your journey and your business case, circularity business case, if possible. Again, we are happy to connect post-webinar more or less right away. Please do try ASEBA tools. The process is now we have approved the next step of ASEBA, which would be focusing on circular business check and on circular by design. Again, Rolin, we will be in touch with you and some other partners on that to see how can we initiate, to see with the businesses part of this process, how to initiate, ideate, and implement circularity in design, but design applicable to the design of the product, design of the processes, and design of the business models, as Renee has been portraying. So that is something to watch for and see who is interested. You're welcome. That's one activity. And circular business check is really to assess whether what is the degree of readiness, maturity, and impact for circularity within the companies, but it also doesn't need to be very advanced stage of it. So initial actions would help through this circularity business check, not so much to map where you are, but more understand where to, the next steps, and steps after that, and also what would it take in a more systemic view. What does it mean for your production processes, for your operations? What does it mean for your market? What does it mean for your supply chain, etc.? So that is something which we are really going to come up not only in Philippines, but also Kuntanya in Thailand, to see how to move this forward. So next slide, Renee, please. Yeah, so we also would like to announce the next webinar, which would be on the 15th of July, focusing on circular business transitions. So the QR code here for the registration you have, but it's all on the ASEBA, ARIBA, and Switch Asia websites. You can find the next slide, please. So those are the contacts which you could find again on all of the three websites. We also have contacts of you have contact of course of Thomas and Renee, but also of the Grace. So with this, let me say thank you to you as colleagues and journey partners. So Chuck, you've been saying that your company is 40 years in the journey. We are not that advanced, but 20, 25 years plus we have. So we are hoping for equal amount together with even greater results, as we really don't have a choice, as many of us have said. But it's always a pleasure to have this journey with inspired and creative colleagues. Thank you very much, colleagues. Have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Zenaida. Again, thank you very much, everyone. And if you want to connect to ASEBA, just go to our website, www.aseba.co. You can also connect to us via email, to the email addresses that we flashed earlier. We will be sharing again the recording of this webinar as well as the presentations to the participants. So again, thank you very much, and we hope to see you in our next webinar on July 15. Maraming salamat po. Have a great week, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Good day.